The opening scene begins with a girl named Wu Xiaowen sleeping beside her grandmother. Just then, a phone call awakens her, and she tries to wake up her grandmother. However, despite several attempts, the old woman doesn't wake up because she's friggin' dead. In the next scene, we are introduced to a carefree man named Mo San-mei, who is sending some voice messages to his angry girlfriend, Shishi. During this, he receives a call from his friend Wang, informing him of a death case and summoning him to prepare the dead body for the funeral. Here, it's revealed that San-mei handles his family business called King Tian Funeral Parlor, where the dead bodies are prepared for the final rites. A while later, San-mei arrives at Xiaowen's house, where he starts cleaning her grandmother's body. Xiaowen is seen hiding inside a closet and peeping through a hole. When she sees San-mei touching her grandmother, she walks out with a stick and starts beating him up angrily. As a result, her uncle carries her away and locks her in another room with a boy. San-mei then continues his work and soon prepares to load the body in their van. Just then, the grandmother's daughter-in-law notices that her gold ring is missing. Knowing that San-mei had previously been imprisoned, she takes no time to accuse him of stealing the ring. However, San-mei claims that he didn't, and to prove his innocence, he takes off his clothes, asking her to check if she wants. A fantastic scheme if he did in fact put the ring up his ass. Despite being unconvinced, the daughter-in-law walks away, regarding him as a pervert. Afterwards, Xiaowen watches her grandmother being put into a coffin and loaded in a van. The boy beside her says that her grandmother will be burnt into ashes, and hence, she'll never see her again. Upon hearing this, the kid jumps out of the window and starts running after the van. After taking the body to the cremation site, San-mei arrives home. He is discussing their property ownership with his father when he receives a text from his girlfriend. It turns out that Shishi has ended their relationship via chat. Furious, San-mei drives to her clothing store and bangs on the door. As soon as Shishi opens the door, he carries her on his shoulders and takes her to the bedroom. He forcibly demands an explanation, but at the same time, another man walks out of her bathroom. Realizing that she was cheating on him, San-mei gets into a physical brawl with the guy. However, Shishi stops him and announces that she's pregnant with this man's baby. She further explains that San-mei lacks the maturity to be a good father, which is the reason why she wants to break up. This deeply saddens San-mei, prompting him to walk away with a heavy heart. Following this, San-mei returns home, only to find Xiaowen, who asks about her grandmother's whereabouts. San-mei is in no mood to deal with her, so he simply brushes her off and walks inside. Shortly after, Xiaowen's uncle arrives at the scene and takes her away. San-mei, now burdened with his own troubles, sits in front of his home, lighting a cig. During this moment, one of his neighbors approaches him and invites him to join his wedding business, claiming that it's better to send people to wedding beds than heaven. There's a good chance for him to say deathbeds and complete the analogy, but he screwed it up. However, the stressed San-mei rejects him with a rude reply. Later that evening, Xiaowen returns to San-mei's doorstep, persistently asking about her grandmother. Her uncle also arrives to collect her, but the little girl refuses to leave. Left with no options, he requests San-mei to look after Xiaowen for 3 days. San-mei declines, asserting that this place is not an orphanage. However, Wang agrees when Xiaowen's uncle offers money. In the next scene, San-mei's female friend, Bai Shu, provides the girl with a meal. Later, the four of them play a card game, during which Xiaowen shows her grandmother's ring. She admits that she stole it to prevent her aunt from confiscating it. At midnight, San-mei is awakened by something dripping from above. Much to his disgust, the little girl has wet her bed, which enrages him. He scolds her for her actions before placing the wet sheets into the washing machine. Following this, San-mei is forced to spend the rest of the night on a couch. In the morning, he receives a call from his sister, who summons him to visit a government office with property ownership documents. Hearing this, he suddenly realizes that he inadvertently washed away the documents, along with the bed sheets last night. As a result, San-mei has to wait 1 more month to inherit his father's property. While at the government office, San-mei receives a call from Wang, calling him to the hospital to pick up another dead body for a funeral. San-mei, who is already overwhelmed with his problems, vents his desire to shut down the funeral business. His father overhears this and beats him with a stick, forcing him to continue his work. After this, Sanmei proceeds to the hospital, where he finds Xiaowen, who has arrived with Wang. She constantly inquires about her grandmother, irritating Sanmei further. To keep her mouth shut, he promises to take her to visit her grandmother only if she obeys him. He then takes her to a room where the dead body is kept. It turns out that a little girl has succumbed to her illness, leaving the parents devastated. In a strategic move to secure the funeral contract against competitors, Sanmei approaches the crying parents. He introduces Xiaowen as his daughter and claims that he's working for good karma rather than money. This lie ultimately helps him to win the contract. They all then arrive at the funeral parlor, and Sanmei instructs Xiaowen to remain in the car. The little girl tries to refuse, but right then, she's drawn to a coffin resembling her grandmother's and begins to chase after it. She ventures inside the funeral house and causes a riot at someone else's funeral. As a consequence of her actions, Sanmei receives a warning from the officials and even has to pay a fine. Afterwards, he takes Xiaowen back to the car and scolds her. Frustrated, Sanmei points at the chimney, explaining that her grandmother has been cremated into ash and turned into smoke, kinda like Santa Claus, but instead of being fake, she's dead. Hearing this, the little girl sobs, realizing that she'll never see her grandmother again. Back at their home, Sanmei, Baishu, and Wang console the grieving Xiaowen. They claim that her grandmother has become a star in the sky. Later on, a pink box containing the ashes of the deceased girl is delivered to Sanmei, which is to be delivered to her parents. The following morning, Sanmei wakes up to see Xiaowen painting the pink box, freaking him out. He hurriedly tries to erase it, but to no avail. Now, with no other alternative, Sanmei and Wang set out to deliver the now painted box. They are a bit scared as they anticipate a negative response. However, Sanmei is taken aback when the grieving couple becomes emotional upon seeing the painted box. They mention that their daughter also enjoyed drawing and express their gratitude with bowed heads. Upon returning home, the group shares some snacks together. During this, Sanmei notices Xiaowen eating snacks from the floor and reprimands her. He then retrieves some candies from a jar and shares those with her. Upon tasting one, he realizes that it's not candy, but rather inedible pebbles. However, it's too late as Xiaowen has already swallowed one down. In a state of panic, they rush her to the hospital, where the doctor reassures them that the pebble will likely pass out through her butt. Back at home, the three of them stand outside the bathroom, anxiously waiting for Xiaowen to finish up. As soon as she walks out, they examine the stool and find the ingested pebble, which provides them with great relief. But they also find 3 pogs and a Beyblade, which makes them wonder what year it is. 3 days pass by, and Sanmei receives a call from Xiaowen's uncle, notifying them of their return. As a result, Sanmei's group visits Xiaowen's uncle's place, where they overhear a conversation between the couple. Xiaowen's aunt expresses her reluctance to take care of the little girl and argues with her husband about it. This prompts Sanmei to bring Xiaowen back with him. As soon as they reach home, he is confronted by his father for bringing a child to the funeral house. He even threatens to expel him from the house. After this incident, Sanmei struggles to sleep and begins scrolling through his phone. During this, he stumbles upon Shishi's wedding invitation, causing him to fall from his couch in shock. Xiaowen, who is also awake, finds this amusing and captures the moment on her smartwatch. Uncle Sanmei is funny when he's getting cucked. The next morning, she asks Sanmei's phone number and promptly sends the photo to him, so that he can always remember the night that he got cucked. Afterwards, Sanmei, Wang, and Xiaowen have breakfast at a local restaurant. During the meal, the girl once again picks up fallen noodles from the floor and eats them. Sanmei scolds her for this behavior, but she runs away without listening to him. Shortly after, Sanmei receives a call from Xiaowen, summoning him to the park. There, she introduces him to an old man, Mr. Liu, who wants to conduct a funeral for himself. Sanmei refuses, saying that he can't do that to someone who's still alive. However, he eventually agrees when the old man offers him a lot of money, of course. In the next scene, they begin preparations for Mr. Liu's staged funeral by renting costumes and hiring paid attendees. On the day of the funeral, everything goes well, until Mr. Liu's family suddenly arrives and has Sanmei and his friends arrested. Thankfully, they're released, as it was Mr. Liu's deliberate decision. As they exit the police station, they find Mr. Liu on the stairs. He confides in them, revealing that his family is in constant conflict over his property. Hence, he wanted to spend all of his money to stop the conflict. Later, as the group returns home, they find Sanmei's father in a fit of extreme anger, wreaking havoc around the house. He chastises Sanmei for conducting a funeral for a living person. In response, our guy loses it and spills his heart out. He asserts that no matter what he does, he's always wrong in his father's eyes. Unfortunately, this only enrages his family, and his sister slaps him before leaving with their father. Later that night, Sanmei approaches the crying Xiaowen in her bed. When asked, she expresses remorse for always getting him in trouble. Sanmei then consoles her and tells her to go to sleep. The next morning, he hears a neighboring boy reciting poetry, which makes him realize that Xiaowen should probably also attend school. Following this, Sanmei approaches Xiaowen's uncle to discuss this matter. As they chat, he inquires about Xiaowen's parents and learns that her mother passed away. Xiaowen's uncle expresses shame for not being able to care for her and asks Sanmei to adopt her. However, Sanmei, due to his unmarried status, isn't eligible for adoption. Seeking a solution, he visits Bai Shu's place and finds Wang there as well. They finally disclose a hidden truth. They've been married secretly all this time. This revelation astonishes Sanmei, but he's also happy that his two friends can now legally adopt Xiaowen. Finally, they complete all the necessary paperwork to enroll Xiaowen in school. One day, Sanmei's ex-girlfriend shows up at his doorstep with the tragic news of her husband's demise. She seeks his help for the funeral, but he hesitates due to his strained relationship with his father, and because she's an asshole. Upon hearing this, Xiaowen steps forward, volunteering to mediate the situation. The little girl takes Sanmei to his father in the park and encourages them to talk. Luckily, the plan works, and the father and son end up reconciling their differences. Following this, Sanmei, along with his father and Wang, heads to the morgue to prepare his ex-lover's deceased husband's body for the funeral. Sanmei almost vomits upon witnessing the gruesome condition of the body, but his father motivates him to do it. Following his father's instructions, he eventually completes the task, earning him respect from Shishi. But at the same time, his father suddenly collapses to the ground, and he is quickly rushed to the hospital. A while later, the old man regains consciousness, prompting Sanmei and his sister to rush to his side. The father expresses pride in Sanmei's growing sense of responsibility. He also reveals that he loves his son very much, and that he's proud of him. The father's going to die soon, for sure. Later that evening, when Sanmei returns home, he finds Xiaowen studying beneath the glow of a table lamp. He switches on the room light, and Xiaowen welcomes him happily. As the days pass, Sanmei becomes increasingly dedicated to his funeral business, investing all his efforts into its success. Once in a while, he also takes the little girl for a vacation on the beach. Amidst this, Sanmei tries to retrieve a recording of Xiaowen's grandmother's voice from her damaged smartwatch. Upon collaborating with the IT experts, he finally manages to recover the tape. On Xiaowen's birthday, Sanmei presents her with a toy, which now has her grandmother's voice. Hearing this, the little girl bursts into tears of joy and hugs Sanmei, who also has tears in his eyes. One day, after dropping Xiaowen off at school, Sanmei is approached by Xiaowen's uncle and a woman who claims herself to be Xiaowen's biological mother. Sanmei is skeptical, but the woman provides detailed information about Xiaowen's birth and her past circumstances. She also explains that she was imprisoned abroad, hence she was presumed dead. Despite this, Sanmei remains unsure and walks away. That night, the woman again shows up at his residence and requests the return of her child. In response, Sanmei tells her that he cannot decide alone, as his two friends have adopted Xiaowen. He then asks for a 3-day period to contemplate the matter. During these 3 days, Sanmei makes good use of his time with Xiaowen. He prepares meals for her and even attends her school events, posing as her parent. While enjoying a school program, Xiaowen expresses that she is no longer afraid of never seeing her grandmother again because she now has a father. This fills Sanmei's eyes with tears. On the third night, Xiaowen's biological mother arrives to take her back. Sanmei packs her belongings and explains everything about the child to the woman, including her sleeping positions. He has become so possessive that he even warns her to take good care of the little girl. Their conversation awakens Xiaowen, who addresses Sanmei as her father. However, the woman abruptly takes her away, and the taxi departs. Overwhelmed by emotions, Sanmei chases after the taxi in the rain, but he fails to catch up because it's a car and he just has legs. The next day, Wang and Bai Shu express their frustration at Sanmei's decision to let Xiaowen go without consulting them. Shortly after, Sanmei receives a call from his sister, informing him of their father's passing. Sanmei is now devastated by the loss of both his father and Xiaowen. He and his sister then prepare their father for his final rites. The old man left them a note expressing his final wish for an inexpensive but dignified funeral. Sanmei's sister suggests burying their father next to their mother, but he rejects the idea. Moments later, he grabs the container holding his father's ashes and drives away with his friends. They pull over at a beach, and Sanmei sets his father's ashes ablaze in a tube. This causes it to burst into a firework in the sky, thus fulfilling his father's last wish for a dignified funeral. And there you have it. The only way to make a funeral inexpensive is to just blow the ashes up. While everyone watches the fireworks, Sanmei receives a call informing him that Xiaowen is missing. Filled with concern, Sanmei, his friends, and Xiaowen's biological mother wander every street in search of the little girl. However, they fail to find any trace of her. In the evening, they return to Sanmei's home with heavy hearts. Just then, they hear the little girl calling his name. Hastily exiting the car, Sanmei scolds her for her actions. However, he is unable to stay angry for much longer, so he wipes her tears and embraces her tightly. In the final scene, Wang and Bai Shu throw a wedding party. At the same time, Xiaowen's mother arrives to drop off her daughter's belongings. She has decided to let Xiaowen live with Sanmei and his friends. We all love Sanmei, but hard to imagine a mother doing that, though. Before departing, Sanmei invites her to join their funeral business so that she can be close to her daughter. The movie ends as they all sit outdoors, gazing up at the stars in the night sky. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.